Chapter 1. Point 2. The Car Ride from Hell. The big day had finally arrived, and Laure could at last receive her birthday present, because in the face of her parents' negative reaction, that was how she had described this little trip to the Pyrenees. They had planned to give her a driving licence, just as they had done a few years earlier for her older sister, and had admitted they did not understand her choice. But in the end, after agreeing to a few concessions, the young girl had managed to get what she wanted, and so in her room cleaned from top to bottom, the young girl was still wondering how she had agreed to let her squirrel go. "Laure, hurry up," called her mother from the hallway. "We have a long way to go. We need to leave right away if we want to be there by noon, and don't forget we have to stop to pick up Aunt Luce on the way." Laure had two aunts on her father's side, Luce and Isa. Luce, a plump widow and particularly stingy woman who always had an opinion on everything, was her godmother and, in Madame Valney's eyes, the ultimate model of a woman who had succeeded. In fact, she never missed an opportunity, regularly inviting herself over for meals to show off her possessions and her opinions. To be honest, Laure liked her very little, whereas she considered Isa to be a living legend. The young girl had never met Isabel, but the unflattering descriptions given by her mother only fueled her imagination. According to Madame Valney, her sister-in-law was an eccentric who spent her time picking plants and dancing barefoot in the rain. Needless to say, Laure would have preferred to take Isa rather than burden herself with the imposing and stingy Aunt Luce for this picnic. Laure sighed and asked, just for form's sake, whether her godmother's presence was really necessary. In reality, she had overheard her mother calling her a few days earlier and begging her to help bring her goddaughter back to reason. She had even promised to provide the gift in exchange for her support. "Your godmother insisted. She wanted to give you something for your 18th birthday." Laure sighed once more, telling herself that if it had to come to that, her mother being more than capable of taking offence and cancelling the outing at the slightest hitch, she would accept this sacrifice with a smile. "Mom, give me 5 minutes and I'll be right there." Out loud, Laure went through a final checklist of her backpack's contents. A water bottle, a few cereal bars so I can go for a walk while they take their nap, a pair of binoculars to watch the animals, a bag full of dried fruit, walnuts and hazelnuts for Mister. Everything's here. She picked up the small cage, where the squirrel watched her with a worried look, and left the room with a strange pang in her chest. Her father honked the courser's horn, and Laure quickened her pace, but when she saw her parents in the vehicle and pictured herself squeezed in the back with her godmother, she froze for a moment. The thought that the trip would last 2 hours and that she'd have to endure that chatterbox's babbling drained her of all energy. They could have taken the big car. As if reading her mind, her father apologised for the lack of space and explained that the minivan was at the mechanic's. After 15 minutes on the road, they picked up Luce in front of her house. Mrs. Valney had been right to allow plenty of time, at least where the schedule was concerned, because it took Luce a good 10 minutes of contortions to settle herself on the back seat. When she finally closed her door and everyone was ready to leave, she let out a shriek. "What is that creature doing in the car?" "Nothing, godmother, don't worry. It's just my squirrel. I'm taking him with me to set him free after lunch." "Don't tell me we're going to travel with that rodent. You know I hate animals." Laure bit her lip to keep from replying that she was stuck travelling with a shrew, and she wasn't making a fuss about it. After a reproachful glance from her mother, Laure set the cage on her lap and locked herself into stubborn silence, while Aunt Luce spent the rest of the trip grumbling